unbelievable journey, orphan girl thrust into marriage with a mysterious beggar, discover his hidden past. On a chilly autumn afternoon, Lily's heart sank, not because of the brisk wind or the falling leaves that danced like memories unanswered, but because she was about to marry a man rumored to be nothing more than a beggar, Nathan. The whispers in the town felt sharper than the bite of the cold air. A homeless man marrying an orphan girl? The shockwaves rattled through her, making her feel smaller than ever. But deep down, beneath the doubts and the stares, there was a flicker of hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, Nathan held a story far more complicated than the tattered clothes he wore. The weight of her past pressed heavily on her, endless nights spent transitioning from one foster home to another, each place a chapter filled with promises unfulfilled. As she worked tirelessly to save for community college, earning money from multiple jobs, her dreams felt etched in the clouds, beyond reach. But out among those apple orchards and harvest fairs, she didn't just want to survive, she wanted to thrive. And now, in an absurd turn of fate, she was betrothed to a man who once had it all. Glimmers of Nathan's past reached her in downtrodden snippets. An elite background, a fading reputation, and now the streak of grime on his face was evidence of lost fortune. At the coveted harvest festival, the town gathered to celebrate as she stood with him awkwardly, feeling the weight of judgment in every family's scrutinizing gaze. Children laughed and elderly couples danced, all while Lily's heart beat loud enough for Nathan, a testament to her inner turmoil. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can, drop a like. It really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Later that evening, the goings-ons of the festival felt muted as the sky turned dark. Families crowded near the center, vibrant lights blinking cheerily, yet a heaviness settled in her chest as Nathan's presence contrasted with the brightness around them. Just an alley behind the community center, amid scattered laughter and the scent of caramel apples, lay a sanctuary where they could be themselves, away from prying eyes. As they slipped into the shadows, Nathan's gaze flickered with an intensity that captured Lily's attention. It was here, out of view, that he began to unveil his truth. "I'm not just an empty bottle tossed aside," he said, his voice husky with forgotten dreams. "I was once part of a world that cherished aspirations, just like you."
This confession rattled her core, shattering the prejudices she harbored. He was more than a beggar. He was a person, a man with hopes buried beneath layers of misfortune and despair. In that moment of revelation, amidst the distant sounds of the festival, Lily saw Nathan's soul, raw, vulnerable, yet fiercely resilient. Together they stood at a crossroads, both fighting against the chains of societal expectations. As the festival faded into midnight, she realized they shared a bond, torn from heartbreak, but perhaps woven with threads of unexpected love and courage. Would they brave the storm waiting at the surface, or retreat into a world of whispered judgments? Lily's heart raced as she fought against the tides of doubt, knowing the truth was within reach. Their understanding could mend what was broken in both their lives, but the deep-rooted whispers of their town threatened to drown them. Would they rise together against the judgment, or would the weight of their pasts push them apart forever? As the night deepened, their fate hung delicate and uncertain, like a fragile leaf waiting for the next gust of wind. Just as the festival lights began to dim, Nathan's eyes bore into hers, filled with a mixture of sorrow and determination. "Let me tell you about the night everything changed for me," he implored, pulling her closer as if the weight of his words might crush the distance thrust between them. Lily listened, her heart fluttering as he unveiled pieces of his past, the mansion where he grew up, the grand soirees, and the laughter that once filled the halls. His voice was like a melody, each note revealing a life shrouded in warmth, now replaced by shadows of rejection and despair. "I was set to inherit everything, until the night of the accident." She couldn't help the gasp that escaped her lips as Nathan continued. "My family was killed in a crash just after we celebrated my engagement. It was a terrible night, one that shattered my world. In an instant, I went from air to nothing, swallowed by grief. The mansion was sold. My name became a whisper on the tongues of those who once adored me. Lily's heart ached for him. How could someone so vibrant be reduced to this? Wrapped in her thoughts, she barely noticed the falling rain. The sky mirrored their tension, dampening the laughter from the festival. "Why didn't you try to claim your life back?" she asked, her voice a bit more confident now. "Nobody would listen. They only saw the beggar on the street," he replied, his gaze dropping. "But I was scared of the judgment, the pity I'd receive." Lily nodded, reflecting on her own fears. "I know that feeling all too well. I spent my childhood hiding, never knowing where I belonged. I wanted to dream, but every time I tried, I was faced with the harsh reality of my situation." Nathan stepped closer, their shared wounds pressing them together. "That's why I think we're meant to fight this, Lily."
Together, we could carve out a new story, our own story. She looked up at him, feeling a warmth blossom within, battling the chill of the night air. "But how? The town won't let us." "We can show them who we are," he urged, an intensity sparking in his eyes. "Let them judge us. Let them see our strength. We can change their perceptions, one at a time." His words ignited a fire in her heart. Could they really defy the town? Would the whispers give way to understanding? Suddenly, from behind the corner, laughter erupted, and the figures of their townsfolk came into view. Two elderly ladies holding hands, wagging their heads, casting dubious glances in their direction. Lily's stomach twisted. They'd been spotted. "Lily! Nathan!" one of the women called, her voice dripping with the sting of judgment. As the group approached, Nathan took a step back, preparing to shield her from the inevitable onslaught. But Lily felt a rush of courage. This was her moment to stand beside him, to claim something that felt more precious than any past they carried. "Wait," she said, her voice resonating like a bell. Nathan turned to her, bewildered yet intrigued. With the townsfolk closing in, Lily faced Nathan, her heart blazing with newfound resolve. "We can't let them dictate our future," she whispered, daring to dream beyond the whispers and the stares. But just as she was ready to face the looming confrontation, a figure pushed through the crowd, the last person she expected to see. The town's mayor, with a stern face but unmistakable warmth in her eyes, stepped forward, raising a hand to silence the murmurs. "Let's hear what they have to say." In that heartbeat of silence, the air crackled with tension. Would Nathan and Lily's plea open a path for acceptance? Or would the sheltered world they knew push them apart once again? With her heart pounding in her chest, Lily braced herself for whatever truth they might reveal next. Lily could feel every heartbeat echoing in the space around her. The town's mayor stood firm, a figure of authority that brought a mix of hope and dread. As she looked from Nathan to the gathered crowd, their faces were a blend of curiosity and skepticism. "Why are we listening to this?" one of the elderly ladies scoffed, crossing her arms defiantly. "They have no standing here, no claim to our values." Nathan's grip loosened for a moment, but Lily felt a surge of determination flow through her veins. "No claim?" she interjected boldly, her voice rising above the murmurs. "We have as much right to our place here as anyone else. Just like you and everyone else, we have our stories, and every story deserves to be heard." Gasps rippled through the crowd, shock and intrigue spilling across their faces. The mayor's expression softened, and she nodded appreciatively at Lily's statement. "You have a point, Lily," she said, her tone firm yet kind. "Everyone in this town has faced hardships." If Nathan and Lily are willing to share their truth, we should listen. "But what good can come of it?" another voice challenged, the skepticism still too strong to ignore. "They're just two lost souls seeking attention." "That's where you're wrong," Nathan spoke up, stepping beside Lily, his voice finding strength. "We're not lost. We've fought through our darkness, just like many of you have. I lost my family, my place, yes, but I still believe in a future, a brighter one that doesn't shun those who have faltered. That's what this town needs, more understanding." The crowd shifted, uncertainty written on their faces, but Lily could sense their resolve beginning to wane. She took a deep breath, searching for words that would resonate within them. "Each of us carries pain," she said softly, "and so many of us are afraid of sharing it to avoid judgment. But isn't that what we're trying to escape? Let's show that we can rise from our past, instead of being defined by it." Nathan squeezed her hand, a silent show of solidarity that fortified them both. A sense of courage sprawled across Lily's heart,
and with every word she spoke, she could see a flicker of change among those who listened. As the murmurs quieted, the atmosphere shifted. Some of the townsfolk exchanged glances that spoke of shared stories, unexpressed feelings from their own lives. The power of vulnerability began to seep into the moment. "What if we embraced the stories that bind us, instead of dividing us?" Nathan continued, his voice steady. "What if we made a space in this community for each other to heal, no matter our past?" The mayor looked from person to person, sensing the change in the air. "These are powerful words," she said finally. "Perhaps we need to hear more about who you truly are. Perhaps it's time we opened our hearts." But just as hope bloomed in Lily's chest, a loud rumble of thunder echoed above them. The sky darkened, and heavy rain began to fall, abruptly interrupting the growing momentum. The crowd began to scatter, laughter and chatter replaced by shouts of surprise. Nathan turned to Lily, concern etched on his face. "We can't let this moment slip away," he urged, his voice barely audible over the rain. "Then we'll take shelter," she replied, a spark of determination igniting. "And we'll come back stronger, ready to tell our story, starting right here." They hurried into a nearby tent, seeking refuge as the storm poured down around them. As the world outside erupted in chaos, a familiar silence settled within the protective fabric, amplifying their resolve. "Tomorrow we'll gather everyone," Nathan vowed, his eyes gleaming with purpose. "We will show them we're not just shadows. We will rise." But before they could plan further, a shadow flickered at the entrance of the tent, another figure, cloaked by the downpour. With wide eyes, Lily recognized the townswoman who had once been a source of gossip, now drenched and seeking solace. "What happens now?"
she asked, hesitation tugging at her voice. The question hung like a rain-soaked blanket, heavy with uncertainty. In that moment, everything they fought for felt more real than ever, but the path ahead was still vague and treacherous. "Together," Lily whispered, her heart racing at the thought of their next step. "We face it together." As the storm raged outside, inside, together with an unexpected ally, they were about to forge their most significant connection yet. Would it be enough to bring the town together, or would the storm threaten to separate them once again? Lily shifted, feeling the weight of the moment pressing against her like the damp air around them. The tent felt both safe and suffocating. She glanced toward the woman, whose name escaped her momentarily, and swallowed hard. "What do you mean by now?" The question echoed in her mind. The woman hesitated, wringing her hands nervously as raindrops drummed against the tent fabric. I've just never seen anyone like you stand up before." Her eyes darted about nervously, weighing her words carefully. "Those stories you speak of, they carry a different kind of truth. Who you are can change how we see ourselves." Lily felt a surge of empathy. Here was someone caught in the same tide of judgment and fear, perhaps longing to speak her own truth, but held back by a lifetime of expectations. "Let's start sharing then," Nathan urged, his voice resolute. "What's your story?" The woman, surprised by the invitation, looked from Nathan to Lily, her expression softening. "I'm Anna," she finally said, her voice shaky, yet growing stronger. "I was the girl who gossiped. I wanted to be accepted, to be the one in control, but that came at the cost of hurting others. I see so much of my past in you both." The rain outside intensified, thundering like a heartbeat, and the scent of wet earth filled the air. In that moment, something fragile yet powerful shifted in the tent. "Anna, we all have our burdens," Lily replied gently, emotion rippling in her chest. "Carrying those burdens shouldn't mean we bury others in their own. Let's find a way to lighten the load together." The warmth of unity started to weave itself around them, and Anna's eyes glimmered as she shared her memories of her mother's illness, the shame of her judgmental nature, the tight grip of fear holding her back from connection. As each word fell from her lips, the tension in the air dissipated, replaced by an understanding that was palpable. Nathan and Lily exchanged looks of agreement, feeling the empathy grow within the space. Suddenly, the dreadful sound of breaking branches and loud thuds outside made them freeze. The storm outside was risen to a new pitch, but within the tent, it was as if the tension had retracted, allowing the light of shared experiences to shine through the darkest of storms. "Do you hear that?" Nathan murmured, his brow furrowed in concern. The echoes seemed closer now, as though something, or someone, was approaching. Lily's heart raced, its tempo quickening with uncertainty. "It could just be the wind," she said, but doubt laced her words. Yet instinctively she found herself rising despite any apprehensions.
Something is happening, something we can't ignore, Nathan said, his gaze hardened with determination. Whatever it is, we need to be prepared. If we want to stand together, we must be ready to face whatever comes at us, even when it's dark and stormy outside. Just as their resolve strengthened, the tent flaps parted violently, and a gust of wind surged in. But instead of dread, Lily felt an unexpected thrill. The storm had a life of its own, laying bare the truth that moments of crisis often revealed hidden depths. Standing at the flap was an unexpected newcomer, a rugged man with a face as worn as the town itself. His eyes, wild and desperate, scanned the room. "They're coming," he panted, urgency painting his features. "You've got to come with me, now." The weight of his words hung in the air, electrifying the atmosphere. Lily traded anxious glances with Nathan and Anna. "Who's coming?" she asked, her stomach knotting. "I don't have time to explain," the man insisted, stepping closer. "But if you don't act, you could lose everything, your fight, your stories, this moment." The words hit like the rain, heavy and relentless. The hope they had started to weave was suddenly in jeopardy. The storm outside was no longer just weather, it was a herald of change, a call to action. Tension coiled within her as questions multiplied. Where would they go? What awaited them? But one thought overshadowed all others. If they chose to run, would they retreat back to the shadows or step boldly into the unknown? "Will you follow him?" Nathan asked, a confidence locked deep within his gaze, a promise of unity. "Whatever happens next, we face it together." And in that moment of uncertainty, the flickering lantern light seemed to glow brighter, whispering possibilities and holding their hopes. But the question loomed like the tempest outside. Would they find the courage to embrace the unknown, or would they retreat back into the old patterns of fear? Lily took a deep breath, her lungs filling with the thick, humid air. The man's urgency wrapped around her like a coil, squeezing tighter with every second they hesitated. She looked at Nathan, who was already nodding resolutely, his determination a beacon in the uncertainty. Anna, though visibly shaken, held their gaze with a mix of fear and resilient hope. "All right," Lily said, her voice firmer than she felt. "We'll follow you." The words felt like a promise, almost a pact woven between them.
They moved as a unit, exiting the tiny haven of the tent and into the chaos of the storm. Rain pelted them, brisk winds whipping strands of hair across their faces, and the air was ripe with tension. The world outside was transformed. Mud soaked the ground, making it squelch underfoot, and flashes of lightning lit the sky like cameras clicking in a flash. "Where are we going?" Nathan shouted over the roar of the rain. The man marched ahead, his silhouette barely visible in the dark. "To safety," he answered, voice strained yet urgent. "There's a place, a shelter. They've been after you for a while. I saw it all unfold." "What do you mean?" Anna asked, scurrying to keep pace with the rugged stranger. "Who's after us?" "No time to explain. Just trust me." His tone held a raw urgency, drawing Lily in like a magnet, but trust felt like a luxury they couldn't afford. They pushed through the tangled underbrush, the dim light of their fading lantern barely illuminating the path. Draining weeds brushed against their legs, and the sound of rushing water echoed nearby. It was as if the very earth was alive, clamoring with secrets beneath the tempest's roar. With each step, Lily felt her heart leap and plummet. Questions whirled in her mind as she stole glances at her companions. Nathan's brow was knitted with concern, but determination shone through his wide eyes. Anna, despite her fear, radiated an unspoken strength. "What do you see in us?" Lily called out, her curiosity pushing through the noise. "What makes you think we matter enough to be chased?" The man paused, turning to face them, the rain cascading over his hardened features. "Because I see the spark of change in you," he replied, as raw as the storm. "You're not just stories. You're the ones who can rewrite them." His words struck deep, resonating within Lily's heart. They had each faced their own darkness, and yet here they were, on the brink of something, a moment where their fears could give way to newfound hope. A rustle in the brush snapped her back to reality, adrenaline igniting as the man raised a hand. "Stay close," he commanded, his eyes scanning their surroundings. The air thickened, danger creeping closer as shadows slipped amid the trees. A low growl, barely audible over thrumming rain, slithered through the air, sending a shiver down Lily's spine. Her instincts screamed for flight, but something deeper, a bond forged in shared stories and trauma, rooted her to the spot. "Don't move," Nathan said, his voice barely a whisper. Then the shape emerged, a dark figure cloaked in rain, muscles coiled and ready, eyes glinting like embers. The ground felt like it trembled beneath their feet. "Ready?" the stranger asked, his voice taut with intensity. Lily's heart raced, but there was no turning back. She felt Nathan's fingers lace with her own, a grounding force in the storm. They faced the unknown together, a united front ready for whatever came next.
"Let's find out what you want from us," she said, her voice steady against the chaos. In that moment, life shifted, the air electrified with a mix of dread and anticipation. The storm was no longer just weather, it was a catalyst that promised transformation. What would they discover once the dark clouds cleared? The figure moved closer, unsettlingly calm in the tempest. "You think you're ready for the truth?" they asked, an unsettling smile stretching across their face. Lily's breath hitched in her throat. What truth? Her skin prickled with anticipation. As she stood at the edge of revelation, doubt gnawed at the corners of her mind. If they uncovered the truth, would they be ready for the choices that awaited them? The figure stepped forward, the dim light flickering off their face. Shadows twisted in the rain, revealing sharp features and a confident grin that sent chills down Lily's spine. She felt Nathan's grip tighten, as if he could shield her from whatever lay ahead. "Truth can be a heavy burden," the stranger continued, their voice smooth yet edged with danger. "But you must carry it if you want to escape the storm, the one outside and the one in here." They pointed a finger at their own chest, a gesture that fanned the flames of uncertainty in Lily's heart. "What do you mean?" Hannah asked, her voice trembling slightly. With a flick of their wrist, the stranger produced a small glimmering object from the depths of their cloak, a pendant, ornate and glittering like it held the night sky within it. "This binds you to what you seek," they said, holding the pendant aloft in the rain. The water sparkled as it cascaded around it, momentarily blinding. Lily squinted, feeling the weight of the pendant's promise. "What do we seek?" she pressed, desperate for clarity. "Answers," the figure replied simply, lowering the pendant, "and the strength to change your own destinies." The air felt thicker as Lily considered the implications. Could this battle they were facing extend beyond a mere escape from the storm? Was it really about rewriting their stories? She exchanged glances with Nathan and Anna, the urgency in their eyes clear. They were more than just running from danger. They were standing on the threshold of a new reality. "Can we truly change our own stories?" Nathan questioned, stepping forward, braver than he felt. "Or are we simply running from one fate into another?" The stranger's smile turned serious, eyes piercing like arrows. "That is the risk you take. But I believe you can do it. You've already started." They pointed again, this time at each of them. "You chose to follow me into the storm. Not many would do that." Rain lashed harder now, a relentless staccato that matched Lily's thumping heart. She felt the tension building, wondering if this was just a cruel trick or something profound. "What do we have to do?" she found herself asking, the words spilling out desperate and raw.
"First," the stranger began, "you must face what you've been running from. Who you are, what you fear. Only then can you embrace the truth of what you can become." Lily's mind raced. She thought of her past, the moments of shame, the pain she had tried to bury. But she also thought of her comrades beside her, the power of their unity against the storm. "So, is it just about survival?" she questioned, voice barely above a whisper. "Or is it about living?" The stranger stepped back, allowing the rain to blur their figure into a shadow. "That's for you to explore. But remember, fear can be both a cage and a key." With that, the figure began to fade into the darkness, and Lily felt a chill tangling in her veins. "Wait!" she shouted, desperation seeping into her voice. "What happens if we don't face it?" A pause hung heavily in the air, the storm's intensity unwavering around them. "Then the storm will consume you," the figure replied, echoing as if carried by the wind. "You have to choose, just as you did to follow me." The weight of their words sank deep, the implications spinning in Lily's mind. She turned to Nathan and Anna, their faces masks of fear and uncertainty. "I don't want to be consumed," she murmured, feeling the gravity of their choices closing in. "Neither do I," Nathan said after a moment, voice steady despite the chaos. Anna nodded. "Let's face it together, whatever it is." Lily felt a spark ignite within her. Maybe they could unearth the truth and transform their lives. All that lay ahead was shrouded in mist, uncertainty lurking just beyond the horizon. But deep down, Lily knew one thing. They were ready to confront whatever fate awaited them. The storms may rage, but they could also become the creators of their own peace. With determination stealing her resolve, she turned back to face the void from which the figure had come, heart pounding. Let's find our truth. The silence was heavy, waiting for the storm to push them forward. But would they be brave enough to step into the unknown? The rain fell like 1,000 needles, sharp and relentless, urging them forward into the darkness. As they moved deeper into the swirling fog, the air felt thick with unspoken fears and hopes. Lily led the way, her heart racing in sync with the thunder rumbling overhead. Nathan and Anna followed closely, their footsteps barely audible against the backdrop of the storm. "Do you really think it's possible?" Nathan asked, his voice barely rising above the sound of the rain. Lily didn't answer right away. Instead, she focused on the path ahead, trying to ignore the nagging doubt curling like smoke inside her. The truth felt like a tangled mess, hiding just out of reach. "I have to believe it," she finally said, her voice steadier than she felt. "If I don't, then what's the point of all this suffering?" Anna glanced nervously around, her eyes wide. "What if we—" she whispered, the words trembling on her lips. "Then we face it together," Lily replied, determination filling her voice. "We can't let fear keep us locked in the dark. It's time to shine a light on what's been haunting us." As if mocking their resolve, the wind howled louder, swirling around them like a living entity. They pressed on, the air growing colder. Each step felt heavier, as if they were moving through water. Somewhere in the back of her mind, Lily wondered if the storm was really outside, or if it lay within them. Suddenly the rain lightened, and a strange glow appeared ahead, pulsating like a heartbeat. Cautiously they approached it, curiosity mingling with trepidation. As they drew closer, the glow seemed to take form, a large stone archway, covered in twisting vines that shimmered in the dim light. "What is this place?" Nathan asked, eyes wide with a mix of fear and awe. "It looks ancient," Anna muttered, brushing her fingers over the engravings that adorned the stone, like something out of a myth. "Maybe it's a doorway," Lily suggested, a spark igniting in her chest. "A threshold to our truth?" Nathan's brows knitted together. "What if it's a trap?" "Better a trap than hiding from ourselves," Lily replied, her voice firm. "This is what we came for, right?" With one last look at her friends, she stepped into the glow. The moment her foot crossed the threshold, a rush of energy surged through her, enveloping her like a warm embrace. It was strange but beautiful, like stepping into a different world. Nathan and Anna followed hesitantly, and the archway shimmered around them, sealing behind them with a soft, echoing sound. Instantly the storm felt distant, as if it were locked outside, unable to reach them. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of earth and something sweet, almost floral. The place felt alive, pulsing with energy. Flowers bloomed in vibrant colors, illuminating paths that beckoned them to explore. "Wow," Anna whispered, her eyes sparkling with wonder. "Look at this place." But Lily's heart pounded for a different reason. Something felt familiar about this, something that tugged at her memory. "We need to stay focused," she urged, even as curiosity flared within her. "Whatever we find here, we can't lose sight of why we're here." As they wandered deeper, shadows danced behind them. The sense of being watched prickled at the nape of Lily's neck. "Do you feel that?" said Nathan, his voice suddenly tight with tension. Before anyone could respond, a figure emerged from the shadows, tall, with a cloak that flickered like flame in the dim light. The aura around them felt magnetic, pulling at the heart of Lily's fears and desires. "Welcome," the figure said, their voice low and mesmerizing, echoing around them. "You seek truth, but are you prepared for what it will reveal?" Lily's breath caught in her throat. Was she ready to confront the mysteries of her past?
Was it time to face the shadows lurking in her heart? Then a deeper question rose. What if the truth changed everything? With the figure's piercing gaze upon her, she realized there was no turning back now. The weight of their journey pressed down, yet excitement sparked something fierce in her. "Let's find out," she said, stepping forward, determined to embrace whatever lay ahead. The storm outside might have been kept at bay, but within the archway, a new storm was brewing. A storm of revelations waiting just beneath the surface. Would they be able to weather it together? The figure stepped closer, the flickering cloak settling like firelight around them. A strange calm washed over Lily, cutting through the tension like a knife. The air buzzed with possibilities. Nathan and Anna exchanged unsure glances, their earlier excitement tempered by a creeping anxiety. "Who are you?" Lily asked, her voice steadier than her racing heart. "I am called Orphan," the figure replied, holding up a hand in a gesture that felt both welcoming and forbidding. "I am a keeper of truths, and the guardian of what lies ahead." "Truths?" Nathan echoed, skepticism lacing his words. "What kind of truths?" Orphan's eyes gleamed, catching the soft light from the flowers that surrounded them. "The truths that shape your lives, your pasts, your fates. Each of you carries burdens that weigh heavily. But here, in this place, you may unearth what has been lost." Lily's pulse quickened. She thought of her childhood, the memories that sometimes felt like shards of glass. And what do we have to do? Face what you fear most. Only then can you find what is hidden within. Orphan said, his voice like a soft wind that stirred her thoughts. Choose wisely. The path is not the same for each of you. Before Lily could question him further, the ground beneath them began to shimmer. Vines pulsed with bright colors, transforming the once familiar path. Where they had stood, 3 new trails unfurled, each bright and inviting, yet shrouded in mystery. "Which one do we take?" Anna whispered, her voice barely breaking through the tension. "The one that calls to you," Orphan said cryptically. "It will reveal what you need most." Lily took a deep breath, feeling as if the air itself was swirling with emotions. She looked to her friends, searching their faces for guidance. But all she saw were reflections of her own fears. "We should stick together," she urged, tightening her grip on Nathan's arm. "No," Orphan interjected softly. "You must walk your paths alone. The truth is a personal journey. You will join again, but first you must listen to the whispers of your hearts." "This is insane," Nathan exclaimed, the frustration evident in his voice. Lily's heart sank. She didn't want to lose them, not here. But something deep inside her stirred, a desire for growth, for confrontation.
"Maybe this is how we find out who we really are," she said, surprising even herself. "What if this is our chance?" Orphan nodded approvingly. "Your choice is your strength. Do not fear what awaits you. Embrace it." Anna looked torn, but there was a spark of determination in her eyes as she stepped towards the path dipped in hues of blue and green. "I think I need to do this," she murmured. Nathan inhaled sharply, glancing between them. "Then I'll take this path," he finally said, gesturing towards the one lined with golden light. Lily's heart raced as she slid her gaze across the last remaining trail, drenched in deep crimson. An instinct pulled at her, unraveling her doubts. "I'll take this one," she decided, her voice a mixture of fear and excitement. They stood together for a moment, a silence stretching as thick as the shadows that darted around them. With a shared nod that felt both like a promise and a farewell, they stepped into their respective paths. Darkness enveloped Lily as she entered the crimson glow. The world outside faded, leaving only the thumping of her heart. Sounds muted, and she felt as though she were moving through a dream, disconnected yet purposeful. What lay ahead felt daunting, the potential for both pain and understanding. She steadied her breath, tuning in to the whispers of her heart, wondering what truths she would uncover. Then, a figure emerged from the darkness, and Lily gasped as recognition washed over her. "Why have you come here?" the figure asked, their voice echoing in her mind. Her heart thundered. Could she truly face this moment? What would it take for Lily to confront the truth she had buried for so long? Lily stared at the figure, her breath caught in her throat. The voice, though distant, resonated deep within her. I came to find answers," she stammered, fighting the panic rising within. Recognition twisted like a vice around her heart. It was her mother, the one person she had lost long ago. "Answers," the figure repeated softly. The shadowy form was both familiar and foreign, an echo from her past. "What answers do you seek, child?" For a moment, Lily was paralyzed, grappling with a whirlwind of emotions. Memories flickered like film reels in her mind. Laughter shared under sunlit skies, whispered secrets on starry nights, and the gut-wrenching loss when everything collapsed. "I've lived with the pain, the abandonment. I need to understand why."
Her mother's gaze softened, and something in Lily's chest cracked open. "You're not abandoned, Lily. You were chosen to carry on," she said, her voice a rich blend of sadness and love. "But to truly understand, you must forgive." "Forgive?" The word hung in the air like fog. "Forgive you? I don't even know how to start." "Forgiveness starts with understanding, with facing the truths you hide," her mother urged gently. "Your journey comes with shadows, but you have the light to illuminate them."
Lily felt tears well up, blurring her vision. There were so many things left unsaid, so many questions. "That's why you're here, to confront those shadows and find your light," her mother replied. "You are stronger than you believe. In order to walk forward, you must first reckon with the past." Lily held her mother's gaze, a maelstrom of emotions swirling beneath the surface. The walls she had built around her heart began to tremble. "But how? How do I let go of all that hurt?" "By embracing it," the figure said with a faint smile. "Allow it to teach you. Let the pain shape you, not define you. Remember, love and loss can coexist. They have made you who you are." The darkness around Lily throbbed with life, each pulse echoing her racing heartbeat. Understanding began to crystallize, but fear lingered. "What if I can't? What if it's too much?" "You have already started," her mother replied. "You stepped onto this path for a reason. Take your time. You are not alone." Just as the words settled within her, the ground shook slightly beneath her feet. A rush of energy surged through, and visions began to flash. Her childhood home, the echoes of laughter, her mother's arms around her, comforting and safe. But then the images darkened, revealing scenes of betrayal and abandonment. Each moment struck like a hammer against her heart. It was all there, the raw truth she had buried, deep and painful. A sob tore from her throat. "I don't know if I can do it." "You can," the figure urged, now stepping closer, a comforting presence within the storm swirling around them. "You must. The journey is yours alone, but it leads to healing." With each breath Lily took, she felt the weight of regret and sorrow pressing down, yet alongside it, flickers of hope ignited. This was her moment, a chance to conquer the darkness. But just as resolution began to bloom, the scene rippled and the shadows twisted ominously. A voice sliced through, resonating with shadowy authority. "Do you truly think you can confront what you've hidden away?" Lily's heart plummeted. It wasn't over. The challenge was just beginning. What else lay within those shadows? The moment trembled with uncertainty, and her future hung in the balance. Would she find the courage to face everything she had feared? As the darkness closed in, she whispered, "I'm ready." But was she really? The path to truth and healing awaited, but at what cost? Lily felt the swirl of shadows drawing nearer, her determination warring with fear. The familiar voice of her mother faded, the warmth yet to settle in her heart. The darkness became a suffocating presence, yet something in her stood firm amidst the chaos. "I'm ready," she cried, pushing back against the engulfing void. "I need to know. I need to understand." At her words, the shadows recoiled slightly, revealing fragments of her past like pages of an old book flapping in the wind. She inhaled deeply, focusing on the chaos.
Memories flickered, moments that had shaped her, both beautiful and heart-wrenching. "You must face the pain," the shadowy figure echoed. "Embrace it, and you will find clarity." As if in response, the shadows shifted into haunting images, the nights spent alone in foster homes, longing for connection, the faces of friends she'd lost in heartache, moments of grief and abandonment that had cut her deeper than any knife. Tears streamed down her face as she recognized these experiences as her own. "I tried to forget," Lily cried out. "I thought if I buried them, they wouldn't hurt as much. I didn't want to be defined by my past." "You cannot escape what lives in your heart," the voice said, softer but insistent. "It will find a way to surface. Allow it to teach you." Lily took another breath, her sorrow slowly transforming into resolve. She stepped forward, determined to confront each shadow. "I felt abandoned, unworthy, scared." With each acknowledgement, colors around her brightened. Memories that once overwhelmed her began to spark a different light, of resilience, of the strength she had shown in surviving, and the love she had, though dimmed, still flickered within her. "You are stronger than you know," the figure reminded her, their presence a gentle guide through the storm of emotions. You've carried the weight alone, but this is your moment to share. Your past does not define you. It's a part of your story that you wield as a weapon for future battles. With newfound courage, she realized she wanted to embrace every part of her journey, however painful. I will no longer let those memories suffocate me. I will use them to fuel my fire. That declaration resonated deeply, sending a ripple through the shadows. The figure nodded approvingly. Now take the pain and turn it into strength, and with it, carve out hope. But remember, confronting your truth requires acceptance first. Believe in your light. The shadows around her began to melt away, slowly morphing into beams of brilliant colors that spiraled around her. Suddenly, she found herself standing under a radiant sky, the storm's remnants a memory. The air shimmered, filled with whispers of potential. Nathan and Anna appeared beside her, their eyes wide with wonder, exuding warmth and encouragement. "Lily!" Nathan called, relief flooding his voice. "You did it!" She turned, beaming with newfound confidence. "I faced the shadows. I embraced my story. Now I'm ready to help others find their own paths through the darkness." "Well, it's about time we all joined each other," Anna grinned, her earlier fear fading into pride. "Let's show everyone that our paths don't hold power over us. Together, we can change the town's heart." Lily nodded, her determination blazing brighter than ever. This was the beginning, not just for her, but for Nathan, Anna, and the entire community. They could rewrite their stories into one tapestry woven with resilience, understanding, and acceptance.
They stood together, a trio against the lingering shadows, ready to face the world anew. The truths of their pasts would guide them, fierce and unyielding, but now they had strength in unity. As they began their journey back to the town, a sense of purpose swelled within Lily's heart. She was not just an orphan. She had transformed into a warrior of her own story, eager to forge connections that transcended the isolation she had once felt. "Let's go," Lily said, her voice steady. "Let's show them how powerful it is when we stand together. Let's make our truth a light for everyone." As they stepped forward, the sun broke through the clouds, illuminating their path with a warm golden glow. Together, they ventured into the future, hearts open to the possibilities of love, healing, and new beginnings. It was a journey that had once felt insurmountable, a climb fraught with shadows, but now it was a beautiful adventure waiting to unfold. And as they walked, shadows faded, replaced with every shade of hope. If you've been inspired by Lily's unbelievable journey, then this is your moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for the power of stories. Comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending. What has inspired you most? And don't wait not even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.